Well, we bid you welcome, and we are delighted to take this group of seekers of spiritual truth and spiritual seekers of truth on an upward trajectory to touch with your own soul. It is very exciting for such a group to come together because it puts you in a different space from others who are afraid of their own shadow in order to step into such a light. Do you understand what we mean about this? There are many around you who play at being spiritual. And spirituality is something that is about looking at life as it is and knowing that you know already all the answers that lie within. By accepting all of the answers that lie within, you do not continue the old karmic patterning of being given the answer by your inner heart, by denying it, which is a way of denying your own heart, and then coming forward with some intricate, convoluted and complicated plan of action that the ego has created, which puts you in the continuum of a karmic patterning. You see? By staying so present, because the simplicity of what presence is that you are focused and taking in every detail of everything around you. It's as simple as that. And your desire and your choice comes from which part of the energy you are going to put your attention on. This is the part of perspective that one of you was holding for the entire group, because by deciding, by being present, the choice is made for you. I am going to put my attention on this, or I'm going to put my attention on that because of its resonance. It means that you are the operator of the projector of the mind that is called external life. And by being put very firmly in the operation of the projector, you decide what kind of a movie you are going to be watching. And many of you that have taken choices in what you have called blind faith, you will see very shortly that these choices were in fact intended, because finally, especially for those of you who stuck not only your necks but also your feet onto a new path, you made a decision that you had enough of the old, and that the old was just recreating, or as the spiritual community say, manifesting a similar tomorrows. It is the inextricable wheel of karma. You had enough of enough, so that you decided you were going to be stepping out of such a movie projection and starting a new series that is written by you, for you. It certainly starring you with you as the audience. Do you see? Is this not exciting? And as each one of you shifts into such a space, you suddenly find that the period of said manifestation becomes quite short, because A leads direct to B, and because you are fully present looking at the screen of your creation, your masterpiece, you are able to determine what it is in that moment that you prefer, that you choose to create in order to live. And then you find that life itself becomes immeasurably simple. You either want to do it or you don't. And neither there is a right or a wrong. You may, from time to time, create a situation that makes you feel a little bit more compressed. But in general, your life no longer has the highs of the inspiration and the lows of the tragedy that hitherto you had been experiencing while you were struggling to change the wheel of the cinema projector that you were watching, because you decided enough is enough of living the old karma from the old life, you see, that you have been watching for centuries. And some of you decided you just were going to do it because the inner impulse, which is really your soul, the inner impulse was so strong that it felt so right to do at the time. And we would say to you, when you do it this way, it becomes what we call a shortcut, is what the movie directors call it's a wrap. And you just get on with it. And we know some of you, once you have done it, you were very excited to do such a situation. Some of it were considerable financial investments. Some have decided at the moment it didn't matter, but you are now sitting and thinking about it. We would say to you, don't rush to change the wheel to a tragedy. When you feel something is so right and resonant and you just did what you knew you had to do, Spirit is in the driving scene. Spirit is not us, Spirit is you. And when you are so connected to your creative being, you are being your own divinity that has called you and caused you to take a superhuman leap. It is not just a leap of faith. Goodness gracious, this is for books, novels, bestsellers even, because that's the hero story. It is just a leap because you became for a very long time very tired of the old way of being. And some of you are a little bit worried, some of you a little bit hesitant. You breathe this in, you accept the hesitancy, the tiredness, the what, and you continue not to follow your faith, but in being your knowing. Because when you're being your knowing, you yourself, in terms of the divinity, you are holding that resonance of that projector strong, and then you will follow it to the end of that cycle. This next cycle for you specifically going to be about 3 years in the maximum. Some of you work much faster. Some of you work much slower. Generally, some of you will come to the end of a cycle and will be treading water for others. much sooner than the others. But it is here one movie with different scenarios. And for you who have already taken what the books called the leap of faith, you will find pretty soon all of you have done the same thing. And that is very exciting because all of you stepping into a new beginning, a new cycle that supersedes, it includes, but it is not exclusively sorrow. It includes, but not exclusively, self-doubt. But the self-doubt and the tragedies become what we would call inspirational movies. Because all of you will finally be doing that which has been your heart's desire. And the reason why some of you were asked by the channel earlier about a distract that previously you were holding, and some came up with the construct that you were holding, is that you can see neither really matter. Because in the heat of the moment, which is really the light, because light brings heat, your light bulb moment, you are living finally what it is that you have always wanted to live. And there's a very big difference to you always wanting to live it and you finally being the living of it. And the simple step is just the stage I am. Is the center stage, you see. I am. Now, some of you may recognize that there were those that are outside the purity, the pure essence of this world. People say, goodness gracious, in this world is all about myself. People talking about I, me, why, goodness gracious, everyone's so self-centered. And we know, because we know you so well, we've been watching you all of your lifetimes, don't forget, that this is the one thing for many of you that you do not fully step forward to claim and then embrace who you be because of this erroneous judgment that this work really is about shoring up the self. And this is a dichotomy because it is about shoring up the self, because if you don't know yourself, if you don't accept yourself, if you don't embrace yourself, how the dickens are you going to be able to reflect yourself out? This self-doubt, this fear of being egotistical is your stumbling block. And it is not a block that is accurate, that is placed upon you by yourself. It is placed upon you by others who themselves have an erroneous understanding, a misconception of the energy of the work. The energy of this work is not about the personality. Others may teach spirituality as a strengthening of the personality, but not this group. It is about you knowing yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to accept your divinity. You are all divine beings that come from the same light. Your light frequency is very similar. This is why you have no fear to share your deepest heart, to share your light in a group, because the one thing that you have no fear of in such a community, such a wisdom circle, is to be judged. You are still, some of you, afraid of being judged to be self-centered in external communities that project their insecurities onto you. And some of you take it on. You see? You are all at a level of understanding of spirit. You have to be in order to have heard the call to come in together, to weave your energies together in order to turn yourselves outward to the world and say, this is what it looks like to be wise. This is what it feels like to know yourself. And this is what it is to accept all of yourself. Because at the end of the day, it is about all of yourself, the good and the bad, the knowing what to do, the wisdom, the sometimes not knowing what to do, so that others can step forth in their wisdom. And to see the journey of your life as a play. And the play is the reflection of the projector you are watching. You are using yourself, you are playing for yourself, but the play is about your ability to go out and have fun. Because many of you have forgotten that life is about joy. It is about having fun. And one of you said to the channel recently, I didn't realize I could have it all. Goodness gracious. Well, of course you can have it all. But in order to have it all, you must be willing to put your hands in and take the whole cake. And eat the whole cake. And say to those who say, excuse me, you have the whole cake in your mouth, to say, but there is another one in the kitchen that we're going to be bringing out. I'm just testing this for you. Do you see? Of course you do. But it is in a little bit of the shame, maybe a little bit of the embarrassment of being the fear of the self-centeredness that has stopped many of you from stepping forward, because you got the mix-up of the personality and the ownership of the self. You see? Because of course, those themselves who are not confident in themselves, goodness gracious, of course they are going to judge you if you are going to be confident when you go out and you look at people with kind eyes, which is what you all do, and you see them clearly. Of course, these ones who got something to hide are going to have a little bit of a wriggle in their seat kind of a situation. Of course, when you speak your truth, your definition of what you see, and you speak in words very precise, because you're not waffling to make yourself sound grown up, of course, these ones are going to feel agitated because they know that you know. They know that you see through their delusions and their games. And they see also that it is of no use for them to try to create any more smoke screens in order to hide the fact that they themselves feel incomplete. And it doesn't matter how many spiritual and other books they're going to read, how many movies, spiritual, inspirational and otherwise, that they go to watch, how many secret societies they belong to, goodness gracious, and most of all, how much they talk. They will never progress beyond the supermarket of such commercial spirituality. We use this latter word very circumspectly, because fundamentally they have no intention of owning themselves. And when you do not own yourself, you are going to create lots of situations around you that is going to, the intent is to cause you to make a different choice. But in having lots of similar such situations, they're on an ever-lasting, ever-riding roller coaster of karma. Because the karma is nothing more than stuff that is spun and created time after time that keeps people busy in the mayas is the material chaos. And you have all of you stepped out of such because you have seen the futility of it. So you are, by virtue of your being and by virtue of your ownership of yourself in relation to this kind of a work, that has caused you to be of a different frequency. It is, of course, a higher frequency than the others. But then you find yourselves as being isolated in the light of this, because cannot have any kind of a decent conversation with anyone that isn't about rubbish energy. And so we said to the channel, it would be wonderful to get you all together and to bring through the higher frequency work for you all, so you can continue your progression in a safe society. You will get to know each other because there will be working groups. There will be sometimes some of you will be traveling, some of you will be sleeping, some of you will be whatever, and it doesn't matter, because eventually we are going to be weaving a basket, not of hope, because of course everyone knows that hope lives in the future. You're all living in present tense, but it is a basket of love. Because when you are supported at your core energy and you are seen and you are heard and you are known, you can then, from this inward state, live your teachings, live your knowing, and share this with the ones around you. You see? Your world in the coming years is going to be getting much worse before it gets better. You are now at what we call the dawn of a new light age. You see? Now, in the Middle Ages, there was a period of time that was known as the Dark Ages, when all the wisdom of the ancient world was thrown away by those who sought power and discontent by seeding fear. And this fear was sown by a series of madmen, mostly, who sought to entail power for themselves and riches for their family. And they sought to direct their, we would call, phlegm, or their anger or their distaste towards teachers of truth. You had a period of the Dark Ages that lasted quite a while, we would say some hundreds of years. When the old wisdom was smashed, demolished, it had to go underground. And then you had a period of centuries, which you call the Renaissance, you see, where art, painting, thrived, music was written, all these Baroque pieces, all these wonderful Mozarts are just alchemical processes put in a different form. And yet at the beginning, from many of these masters, including the famous alchemist, Mr. Leonardo da Vinci, they had to hide their messages in their paintings, you see. And these messages are inbuilt into hidden books and hidden knowledges. And for those of you who are interested in seeking some knowledge, there will be some talks coming up in the future. Channel does not know this, and she will be swearing at us for telling you before we told her. But it will be of great consequence for you to be able to read in between the lines of what was Renaissance art and what it meant for the future of the industrial revolutions in all your countries. And in fact, the industrial revolutions industrialize and put war on a supersonic scale. And you will also be led to understand this in the light of what is happening nowadays, because by knowing And by being able to trace the thread back, you will understand in more minute detail what is going on in your world today. And as more and more of the world substructure comes crashing down, because you have those who are evil out, intent to create such tragedy. But you see, these are in the minority. It is governments that have agendas, their political agendas to enrich themselves and their industry, that have blown these out of all proportions. So that instead of people looking at them and saying, oh, you poor things, let us help you, because there is something within you that is insane or crazy, they have caused pretty much the world population, that is those that are not in famine or fleeing war themselves, to be in absolute terror of what is to come. So for you to understand, because energy grows in very structured ways, you have the occasional loose cannon, but loose cannons only blow holes in strongly built brick walls. It does not diminish or destroy the wall itself. Whereas everyone focuses on the hole made by one loose cannon, everyone forgets the wall still standing. You yourselves will be able to hold energy for your people, while such substructures are being demolished and fear is being increasing. And the one thing that is coming soon is that there will be some banking crisis. This banking crisis, someone got to take the emotion out of what is going on in the world today, and nothing like a good bank crash or another recession to bring the little sheep back to the fold, you see. If you were to place energy into such a situation, you're going to be playing into someone else's delusion, you see. If you were to hold your own space and to focus on your own fine art painting in terms of the projector, this is going to diminish the impact of the fear that it will have upon you and yours. And as you know, whatever you focus on, you are going to bring to pass. So in your countries, and you are all around the world, each one of you are holding a space in a particular country, you see, for a specific reason. It is no coincidence that you all stepped into this world. You are holding the light for the others to have a tuning rod themselves, so you don't need to be public. Some of you will be, not everyone is going to, but it is your strength of spirit and your farsightedness that are going to be keeping many, many millions of people focused on what is and not on somebody's Hollywood entertainment movie. Do you understand what we mean? Very good. Now we have spoken enough. We are going to ask you, anybody got any questions? Please to unmute the microphone and to ask the questions. Everybody terrified at what we have been saying? Everybody lost in thought? Ambrose taking a breath to ask the question? How predictive of her.
I'm moved, yeah. Yeah, the question, for me, the question is how to stay focused on that.
What an interesting and exciting question, Ambrose. And what would be your answer to it?
To the practice daily.
And why are we encouraging you to do the practice?
Yeah, because it shifts the energy. It concentrates on that what is. But is there anything else to do?
What else would you like to do? It's very simple, is it not?
No.
Focusing on what is in front of you.
Yeah.
When you have done your daily practice is more than enough. Because this is spirit in motion. You cannot, in times of such trouble, when you have a lot of people teaching hate, a lot of people, including your leaders, spewing fear, you see, you cannot project 5 years into the future. Your 5 years into the future is determined by what you think and do today. And if you think and do in fear, this will be your next step. So if you decide that your thinking is in fear and you have to defend whatever it is that you are defending, you are watching a hero story. And we are delighted that you are watching such a hero story. But the hero or the heroine story takes you off the focus of what is. Because when you focus on what is, in terms of the isness, you see, then you are creating the next step that will open up of itself, and you do not need to be doing anything, because in your open space, you will be given ideas that you will not be hearing, and one or two of you are facing challenges. We will not say who you are publicly. When you are busy defending, you are not able to hear because the focus is on the future. And this is not a criticism, but it is a trust within yourself that you yourself will deliver to yourself the next piece of the puzzle that is needed in order to support the next step of this journey. Do you see? Do you understand? It's very simple, is it not?
And is it also important to concentrate on what gives joy and pleasure and humor?
Well, what would you suggest you do differently?
Concentrate more on that.
We are delighted that you have decided, all of you, to stop watching horror movies, tragedies, and even romance, because romance itself is a delusion and an illusion. Goodness gracious, you get romantic, half of you think, I can't be bothered with all of this is rubbish. I want to connect to someone's soul to soul. And after a while, you get bored and you walk away. Better to focus on having the fun together, and then the romance happens by itself. You see? And candles are lit because candles represent the light in your heart and the light that is your soul. And you have your romantic candlelit dinner anyway, so you get to have everything. It's very simple, is it not? We are delighted. Anybody got any other insights or questions? Nobody wants to speak? Anyone would like to share an experience? Therese, unmute the microphone. Unmute the microphone. Anybody else? Very good.
Yeah, I wanted to share. My phone got blocked, but now I managed. I just want to share that I feel so empowered by the words.
Goodness gracious, what a grown-up word. What does empowered mean?
It feels like I can do anything.
Goodness gracious, what an original situation. Is this not feeling yourself?
Yeah.
Is this not feeling your own impeccability?
And I can feel in my heart that anything is possible.
That is so. Goodness gracious.
And I don't have to rely on the past. Just have to snap out of it when I realize that I am in that wheel again.
Very good. You see, goodness gracious, you don't want to be creating any more karma. You already had a belly full of karma, did you not? All of you. Same stuff, different people, same scenes. And now you step out, you feeling your own light. Everything is possible. But you see, you've all been taught by claiming who you be and by accepting that everything is possible. You've all been taught that you're going to get punished for it. Put that rubbish energy away. Why the dickens would you be punished for being yourselves? You have come onto the planet to be yourselves. Goodness gracious. You did not come to the planet to be a wilting flower in the corner. That was not the purpose of life. In effect, there is no purpose of life because the purpose of life is just the isness of what is in front of you. Shrinking violets, we have plenty of those. We don't need any more. Goodness gracious, these are all the ones that populate the self-help industry. Reading all the self-help books, shrinking violets and moaning minis. Goodness gracious, life never good enough because essentially they are afraid to step out, not just to claim, but to engage in the heart of who they be. All of you know what it is like. All of you know what it feels like to be loved. You live and work, most of you, in communities of love. You have people around you who love you, and all of you have worked for some time with the channel. This is the absolute in terms of not just unconditional love, but in terms of the ultimate love, because it's spiritual love. So if you have all accepted it, you have all experienced it, and because you have stepped into this light, and because you can feel it, because you are it, this gives you the opportunity to know what it feels like when other people are in your energy, when other people are in your space. They are feeling exactly the same way. And this is how spirit expresses itself through you without you having to do anything. You cannot do love. You can't just give it because you are it. In fact, you're not giving anything at all. You're just standing in this space and inviting people in. And you know how to do it very well because ultimately all of you are loving beings. You see, love is who you be. It is no cliche. It's not what you do. And until you accept the power, and until Therese accepted the power of her love, you are defending yourself from that which you have come to express in the first place. And we are saying, goodness gracious, here is another one for the self-help industry. Please go to the door, down the corridor, first on the left. Do you see? Very simple. You have all of you experienced in the last 6 months since we started to put this group together many profound experiences that brought home to your heart exactly what it is like precisely when life is profound. And there is nothing to do when life is profound except to slow it down and to breathe in that one moment, which moments do not exist anyway, just space. To breathe it in and to extend it so that one moment becomes eternal to being many moments. See? This is giving you a hint for what we are going to say to you, which is to make time, to make your moments now eternal. Is you sit in it and focus on it so precisely that your time becomes elastic. And as you practice the moments of joy that you increasingly, all of you are experiencing, and joy is just space. Joy is just silence that is filled by loving thoughts that themselves become loving memories. And you sit in this and you elongate it. And then you find that there's not going to be much room for what you call challenging circumstances. Challenging circumstances, particularly with other people, are always going to arise because other people are in the ego. And there's nothing you can do about other people being in the ego except to watch them. Because in watching, while you maintain your own space and you don't let them in, means that they have the ability to continue to be themselves in whatever fear-based space they are in. And you allow them the space to vent their emotions as they need without requiring any outcome from them. And that is power. Because the power is, well, goodness gracious, I am in my joy. I have my moments of tiredness, of exhaustion, of whatever, of pain, whatever. Generally, these are less rather than more. So what we would like to invite you to do is to practice doing this. All of you now just close your eyes for a moment. And feel where you are now. Where you are now is your soul energy. Now, some of you, we know specifically, one or two of you, are being tested. Not that life is about learning. You already know everything. Goodness gracious, you already come as fully formed being. You've got nothing to learn. But you have come to remember yourself. And some of you will be tested not by us, but by yourselves, because your soul, the heart is so full, the soul is about to crash. We will answer some questions from some of you, not all of you. One or two of you are going to find that by hanging on to what is or what was, is no longer serving any purpose. You've tried many things, trying to bend another to the will, going into the grief. Nothing happened because the soul is intended to crash. And then some of you is going with, some of you has already happened, and some of you are not yet ready. It doesn't matter, each one holding a specific space. Just feel your love in the space where you are now, and ask to see the reflection, the face of the one in your life who is going to be your partner, your correspondent, your co-respondent in your ability to be in your space and to watch while they do heinous acts to themselves and you are not responding. Because in the past you would have gone to try to rescue, to get them out of the hole, to at least talk sense to whatever. You will see this one person who will themselves seem they are self-destructing, but at the last moment you will see they're going to pull the finger off the red button of nuclear reactor. But it is a game of gamesmanship and eyeballing contact to see who will blink first. These ones in the next 3 months until we speak to you again in the solstice time is going to be the one you are walking to in terms of your knowledge of your power, of the space that you hold within yourselves. And you watch. And it takes great courage to not be manipulated by someone's emotional body or ego. To once again step into that space. But we would invite you, if you don't get it right the first time, goodness gracious, don't worry. You are going to have plenty of other opportunities to so enjoy until you hit the right chord. So don't put any preconceptions or reconceptions or any what in terms of the concept. The concept is the first step of creating a situation which is going to liberate you even more to be running into the waves, laughing, holding the hands of the one that you love, and that could just be yourself, nothing wrong with that. So hold the energy, see who they are, and accept the partnership, the cooperation, that their journey for this moment is interlocked with yours. They have their agenda, you have yours. And by looking and deciding when you are going to blink or not is going to give you great freedom. And this is, you see, when we talk about freedom, everyone thinking, oh, freedom, wonderful, I can go out with many people, I can do what I want, I'm going to have money, I'm going to be traveling, I am excited to be free. And we say, well, goodness gracious, why the dickens you're going to be sticking the plastic bag of materiality, commercial spirituality, and tightening it on your head again so you don't breathe, because this is nothing to do with freedom. But this is what everyone thinks freedom is. I can travel, I got money, I got good job, husband, wife of my dreams, good looking, good behaving children, wonderful parents who don't irritate me. Goodness gracious, this is all rubbish. You're going to have all of those. But the freedom that we talk to you in this construct is the freedom from fear. See? And when you're able to look at another, and they will all be meaningful to you, they will all be people you love completely, will be eyeballing you, and you will be eyeballing them. Both got the finger on the nuclear reactor button. If you don't blink, you will have freed yourself from an enormous multitude burden of karma. That is true freedom. And that is what very people on your planet who do practice spirituality do not understand. Wonderful. We are delighted. Are you as delighted as we are? Very good. Does anyone have any comments or insights or questions? Please to unmute the button and come back and talk to us. Jane, everything good for you?
No, I'm really struggling with all of it at the moment.
Very good. So we will speak to you separately. We would say to you, hold to your vision. All is well.
I don't understand. Anyway, we can talk about that.
Who's next? Robert.
The thing is, like, we're always in our own way. It's ourselves. You know, like, we like everything around us and we strive too much. Although, okay, like in one other way, with what's around us, we easily get sidetracked into their illusion, although we perceive I'm still being present and conscious, but actually, as time moves on, I'm actually off track. And I think from your question earlier about a community as such, the community as such, what I see is it's a way to be, how do you say, for the community to bring you back on track, because you can't get yourself back on track because you can't see it.
That is so. But there is no on track or off track. There is just being. You see, with souls of a similar frequency. And in future, when you all use the word illusion, we are going to invite you to change the word slightly and use the word delusion. Puts a very different understanding on it, does it not? Very good. Very good. Who's next? Any more insights, Sanam? Big changes for you. Exciting life.
Yes.
Nothing to worry about.
One of the thoughts I was having earlier is that sometimes I feel that I understand and appreciate things, but sometimes it's a mental level, and I sometimes struggle with connecting it to my heart and my being.
If your heart and your being did not grasp it in the first place, how the dickens is going to send it to the mind to project it?
True.
You see? This is the acceptance. If I can see it, if I can know it, it came from my soul. See, your energy pure. All of you here, your energy pure. Your intent is good. But you are put wrong-footed and off track by the behavior of other people. Other people, they just projections of your own insecurity. Jason? If you can take that level of responsibility and look at them and say, thank you very much, you are in the way of my movie, please step to one side. You are going to be focused on the important things in life, which is having a good time. You will take risks. Why would you take risks and not consider that spirit is not going to be supporting you? Why the dickens does it have to be a tragedy every single time of stepping into a hole? These are finished with the last full moon energy, unless you want to change the projector and play an 8-hour tragicomedy. Do you see? Very important. The same for all of you. You all stepped into a new way of being. Own it. Because if you didn't own it, how the dickens are you going to be the light of the Renaissance that is coming? The world needs people like you. You have signed up for it. So you might as well stop struggling and just do it. Very simple. Very good. Any more with any comments with Nigel or Mina?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that I'm feeling like I'm in a space where I've understood a lot, and I've sought to do a lot, and I feel like I'm in a space where I don't have any real desire to do that at the moment, where I'm in a kind of a holding pattern and enjoying just being.
Finally.
And that's where my level of energy is.
That is
and it feels like a processing
that is
that's kind of happening, and I guess it's indicative of a shift within me, and an opportunity to enjoy not thinking too much, but just doing what comes up to be done.
That is
and particularly when that something is enjoyable,
that is
or motivating, or whatever it is. So yeah, I just
congratulations. You have stepped into the fulcrum of the life, have you not? And life is moving you from side to side, much like a pendulum. And you're lying on this, and you are looking at the sun and the moon and the progression of nature. And life just is it not? That is beautiful. We commend you for this. You have done a tremendous amount of work to bring you to such a space of inner peace. And long may you prosper and grow. Very good. Anyone else? The Nigel fellow? Standing next to you?
I feel very straight, a bit like a laser beam. I'm not feeling very put off by what's going around us, and we look at what we're doing. I was kind of thinking a bit, analogy of sailing today, the wind changes and you can either fight it or you work with it.
That is.
You wonder why that's doing, and then you move with it and move it a direction that's more happy, and you work in it and you get a nice balance, and you just got to keep changing.
Yes. So you are anchored.
Following what you should do and not get distracted from it. And if you do get a bit of a distraction, you look at it and go, hang on a second, that's rubbish, and you go back to the true course again.
Yes. And it is wonderful to be so anchored, is it not?
I hope I'm not too anchored, because I can't go fast enough. If I'm too anchored, I want to go fast for myself.
Oh, goodness gracious, you can change form and go however you feel like, because you're following the energy. You see, rhythm, sometimes you go fast, sometimes you go slow. It's exactly the same, either the wind energy or the tree energy, whatever you decide is appropriate for that moment. That is life. That is the what is. Very good. Anyone else? Where is Joyta? She has disappeared from the situation. How are you?
I was in my soul energy right now, so I was peaceful, because I have been feeling fear on and off due to the changes coming up.
That is so.
In that feeling of peace.
Very good. And we would say to you that this term of facing fear will last until about the February of your time. And for you to look beyond the fear into the changes and to ask yourself, how do they reflect your life situation? Where you are now is nowhere where you used to be, you see. And so we would say to you, honor where you are now. You have not completed your transition. It will take a few more months of your time. And then you will find everything will settle and away you go. Nothing to be afraid of. Like the butterfly, you see, coming from the chrysalis. The butterfly just does it, doesn't question what color the wings are, where the office is, what's going to happen. Just is. Very good. Congratulations. Who's next? Andrew. Andrew.
Hello.
Where are you now?
I'm a bit lost. A lot of things, but I have to see through my mind. I don't know why. I never had a problem in grasping it. Perhaps I've been too busy and trying too hard.
We would suggest you use the word overthinking. And you sit in this and you just allow things to be, because energy moves. Whether you try to pat it in one direction or another, you set the intent and then you watch it. And then you'll be having a good time while the coffee is brewing. This will make your journey for the next 3 months much lighter and less insecure. Where is Effie?
Yes.
Where is your insights for this time?
Well, I am in the situation of the enough is enough. So I have the enough of enough. I love the word, because this is my situation. I have decided that I see the situation of the third party I have. I accept it, and then I decide what I do with it. No, I mean I recognize it, and then I decide what I'm going to do with it.
Very good.
So now I have decided, and I have gone ahead, and I've experienced what the channel has said, the spirit has said, that you make the decision and the spirit follows. Helps.
Where thought goes, energy follows immediately.
Exactly. I have experienced it, and I'm very happy. And I just wanted to say also that answering to Ambrose of how do you do something, we all have a personal tool of being able to face the situation. So I found that my personal tool is actually anger. So when I want to face a situation, I'm angry to that person or to that situation, and it works. It really works.
Why don't you use the word passion?
Passion, okay.
It's distractive, and meanwhile you continue to do your psychic press-ups, and you keep flexing your psychic biceps. And you will find by so doing, you're clearing a lot of rubbish energy away from...
My psychic?
Biceps.
Biceps. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Bernice, what are your insights from today?
Okay. I is completely let it go and trust, completely trust that no knowing is okay. It's nothing you must know. It's something that is just there, and then you just go and then you do it. Yes. It's just so easy, because then it's nothing. It's just the doing.
So when you accept that you don't know, you create space for the knowing to come through. When you don't accept that you don't know, you fight it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And we are delighted for you. This is your own psychic sit-ups. I don't know, but by not knowing, I create space for the knowing to come, and it will come quite quickly. You see, when you are sitting having coffee and happy for a piece of space, a piece of peace, the knowing will come and away you go again. You see? We are delighted. What about Gay and the Jenny? What are your insights from today?
For me, it's I'm totally reveling in the delight of not having to do anything.
Very good, because then your natural energy, your natural vibration can carry you. It will come to the fore. And you will finally experience that which others experience from you and of you, and that is your own light, your own love, and your own joy. And it is time for you to do your psychic press-ups in this way. And we're delighted for you. And what about the Gay next to you?
At the moment, I'm just enjoying the simple things in life. I think just seeing how simple it can all be, and just appreciating that. I think.
Very good. And we are delighted. Congratulations. From someone who's been doing spiritual somersaults for so long, finally you are at peace and in acceptance of where you are. And that is wonderful. And Disha, where are you at the moment? What are your insights?
So it's still crystallizing. There's no real insight popping up, but it's a recentering, getting my energy back to myself, and it's just that moment right now that I'm just centering. I'm feeling much more balanced and really at home kind of feeling, but real no insight popping in.
So for you, you don't allow people to pull you into their space. Very important for the next 3-month period. You are undergoing substantial growth. You are re-anchoring your light and you're determining how you're going to be using it in the future. You stay true to yourself. You don't say or do what does not resonate. You can prevaricate if you need to and even procrastinate. We will give you permission to do so for this time until you get a sense, in the same way as Bernice gets a sense, that it is time to move. And then, and only then, will you create the movement. Do you understand? Until then, you do nothing. And it's perfectly acceptable to do nothing.
Okay.
The seed is fertilizing. And where is the beautiful Damika? Where is this one?
She wasn't feeling too well.
Very good. So we will see her next time. Mary Page, what are your insights?
Really trusting. Last night at this time, which was the middle of the night, I had a real change and a shift in focus of where I'm going, just in terms of what we do in the next step of our life, being sort of looking at the long term. And it shifted last night. And so what I really am hearing is that it's just a matter of trusting, and it will unfold in the way it's supposed to unfold. And I don't need to overthink it.
Change the word trust, because when you use the word trust, there is a small sliver of energy that something's not going to be working. It might not work. So you go to trust, and people use trust a little bit like a bit of flotsam or jetsam in the middle of the ocean from a shipwreck. I trust you floating, you see a piece of wood. Goodness gracious, let's hang on to this because it is our trust. You use the word knowing.
Knowing.
Because the knowing is your acceptance, that each step will be revealed to you as you need to know it. Because when you are not in fear and struggling to hit the lifesaver that's come out on the life raft and drowning you both, and the flotsam and the jetsam stays there unused, the knowing means that in the same way that Disha and Bernice do nothing, because in that moment they don't know. When you don't know, you are only space. You see, and when you do know, you will know, and then you will move. Until that time, other people's opinions will only muddy the water. And if they are not invited, you do not need to listen to them, not to action them. Because you know that you know, and that is the beginning and the end of the story. You will be positioned, you will be re-emplaced where you need to be for the next stage of the journey of your life. And now you know where you are headed, but you have not yet resonated because the mind is trying to figure out all sorts of things. Pull the plug.
Hold the what?
Pull the plug.
Oh, pull the plug.
And sit and feel. And the question that all of you ask for your next step, what gives me joy? And after that, what makes me happy? Because goodness gracious, if it's not giving you joy and there's no making you happy, why the dickens are you considering to do it? We are not here to punish you. Life's not meant to be punishment. Even though you have all been conditioned to look at it in that way. Very good. We have spoken to all of you. Is there anyone that has been missed out? Very good. So, you all have your homework to be doing. You have your work with whoever has stepped into your soul contract to be facing. You will write to the channel after the period of the 3 weeks. You will state to her what is your assignment that your own soul gave to you, how you have set off on it, how you have started it, and where you are in the light of that. 3 weeks will take you into a full moon. You see. And then you will be given the next step. You will also be given by the channel a full moon meditation and a new moon meditation with which to anchor your own light deeper. And this will be sent to you for you because it is you. And we are delighted. So we will continue at a pace that works for all of you professionals in a busy business life. Not too much that you feel burdened, pressured, but enough to keep you going at what you would call a fast clip. Very good. If you have any questions, we would suggest you write to the channel. She will weave it together, send it all out. She will be asking you to please be sending a small introduction to yourself. It includes who you are, where you live, and it includes your dream for yourself and your people, and a photo. We would ask, please, for this to come within the 1 week of your time. You can weave it together. You can all start to know each other in human ways as well as in spiritual. This is the beginning of a magnificent momentum of what we would say you bring the mundaneness of everything that is in everyday life and you enlighten it to be magnificent. And then each day, each moment of your life is lived in the impeccable, in the beauty and the joy of your being spirit. How wonderful and exciting is that? Within these broad parameters, you have every creative energy. We would say when you write your piece, less is more. It is more difficult to be writing into a small space than it is to be writing into a big one. The preciousness is in the précis. Précis is the precision. Very good. Use the right words. Communicate your knowing accordingly. Very good. Please know that we love you, that we always walk with you, and until we meet again, we commit your spirits to joy. Adieu.